Pathways to opportunity begin with access to early learning, which often depends on opportunities for home-based entrepreneurs. The city is trying to help with both of those needs through a pilot program with grants of as much as $10,000. The aim is to provide more affordable and reliable childcare, which allows parents more opportunities to work outside the home. To tell us about the program is the Executive Director of the Mayor's Office of Women's Advancement, Tania Del Rio. Thank you very much for being with us, Tania.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
First of all, tell me about the survey you did, because you found, I think what a lot of people expected was that childcare was pretty hard to find and hard to afford. How hard is it to afford?
I mean, we weren't super surprised when we saw these results, but actually once you see the number and the sheer size of the problem of lack of affordable quality childcare, our mind was blown. 86% of Boston parents from every neighborhood are telling us that childcare is unaffordable for them.
And one of the other things here that made me even more depressed to read was that even if you had a voucher, it still was pretty hard to afford.
Yes, there are almost 20,000 people on the wait list for childcare vouchers in Massachusetts, and these are people that are income eligible to qualify, and they've been waiting. We had some comments in the survey from people telling us that they've been on this wait list for more than a year, and it's a problem because it's taking people, and especially women, out of the workforce when they want to work.
Now, one of the other things going on here, because we're talking about supply and demand, and one problem with supply is there aren't as many home-based providers. But why is that?
Yeah, and that's actually another thing that we saw in the survey. Almost half of Bostonians are telling us that it's not affordable, but also it's difficult to find. So people have to take off work. They have to, go on these treasure hunts to find a slot for childcare. And we went and looked at the data at the businesses that are licensed in our area and learned that there had been a sharp decline in the home-based family childcare businesses that are in the city. So we went from having almost 1,000 of them to having less than 500 in a span of 10 years. We went out to the community to learn what was going on and what happened, and had dozens of conversations with stakeholders and providers, and learned that number one factor is just the cost of housing, right? If you are running this business from your home and then your rent doubles, what can you do? You need to move out, and then you have to start up a new client base again, because if it's a very hyper-localized market. So housing's number one. Two, a big challenge is the loss of privacy, because imagine if you turn your home into your business and your private spaces end up just being your bed. It's a stressor. So there's a number of factors, but the number one is just housing.
When children don't get early education, what's the difference for them? Because if they're at home with a parent, you might have a wonderful parent. He or she does the best they can. So what's the drawback to that? For the child, at least, as far as development.
Yeah, I mean, each child and each family has a different setup, and they have to do what's right for them. Many parents can and want to stay at home, and we welcome that, because if that's right for their family, they're the ones who should be deciding that. The problem is that in the survey, we learned about a number of parents who needed to work or wanted to work, but weren't working because they couldn't afford childcare, or sometimes their salary would be less than the cost of paying the childcare, so they stepped out of the workforce kind of regretfully, or not as a full choice for them. In terms of child outcomes, there are a number of studies that show the benefits of early education, no matter who the caregiver is. If your child has access to a rich environment where they're able to be stimulated and learn from a young age, it's a positive influence on them for the rest of their life.
And of course, staying at home oftentimes is a problem for women's advancement. So if you're out of the workforce, even for a couple of years, I guess that could have a big problem coming afterward as well. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, in my office, we do a lot of work on closing wage gaps. And yeah, if somebody goes out of the workforce for 2, 3, 5 years, and then they come back, they're at a disadvantage as compared to the peers that didn't step out of the workforce. And that is disproportionately women. So yeah, that is an issue that's how we came to look at childcare as a workforce issue, because we were working on the wage gap and learned that this was one of the big factors that was causing it.
This is BNN News. We're talking with Tania Del Rio from the Mayor's Office of Women's Advancement. Tania, with this program, you're coming out with these grants of as much as $10,000. It doesn't sound like a whole lot of money. So how can this help a provider or even an entrepreneur who wants to start up a childcare operation?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so happy that you're touching on this point, because it may seem for a lay person that it's not a lot of money, but we have to take into account that our early educators are making $27,000 a year on average. These are people that are taking care of our most precious treasures, right? They're doing the most important work of society, taking care of our children. Most of them are credentialed in this city, so that means they have an associate's degree, many times a bachelor's or beyond, and their earnings just don't match the value they're providing to society. So given this, we do think that for a home-based family childcare, a small grant can help stabilize them and at least keep them open and not have the supply decline that we've been seeing.
And I notice also one thing you can also help them do is cut back on administrative costs by pooling that in some way too?
Yeah, so there's two things that come along with the grant. One is technical assistance on the business side of things. So in our conversations with providers, we learn from them that they see themselves as early educators and they're very proud and they trust their skills on that. But they don't think of themselves yet as business people, even though they already are. They're running a business, they are entrepreneurs. But both, they don't see themselves as that, and society isn't really recognizing them as entrepreneurs. So we're providing that technical assistance so that they know how to strengthen their business, and then we're also promoting cooperative practices, like you were mentioning. We have one special modality of the grant that's going to be given out to groups of family childcare owners that are hoping to come together and save money that way. So they could do bulk purchasing or share back of the office functions, anything like that that's going to help them save money. We want to promote.
And finally, I know the deadline for applications is November 15th.
Yes.
So if people want some more information, what's the best way to find that?
So they can go to our website. It's www.boston.gov/childcare-fund.
Thank you very much for being with us.
My pleasure.
Tania Del Rio from the Mayor's Office of Women's Advancement. We'll have more news in just a moment.